Good evening. My name is Mr. Harris. For 23 years, I was the director of a small group home in Ohio. I saw hundreds of children. Each one left a mark. But some stories never let you go. Tonight, I want to tell you about Emma and Jacob. About how love can become pain, and about decisions that still keep me awake at night. Take a seat and get comfortable. This won't be easy. Picture two small figures on a big bed. They sleep holding hands. Even in their dreams, they don't let go of each other. That's the first thing I saw when I went to check on them that night. Emma and Jacob came to us on a rainy October evening, 2 years ago. The sheriff's deputy brought them at 10 in the evening. I remember the exact time because I checked my watch. The girl was 5, the boy was 7. They sat in the car and didn't want to get out. I walked up to the window, knocked gently. "Hi, kids. I'm Mr. Harris." Jacob looked at me with big brown eyes older than his age, too old for a 7-year-old boy. Emma hid behind his back. "Can we stay here together?" Jacob asked. And something in his voice, something in how he said, "together," I understood. They weren't afraid of us. They were afraid of separation. Of course, the deputy got out of the car. A tall man in uniform. He looked tired. So tired, like people who've seen too much. "Rough case, Mr. Harris," he said quietly. "Parents arrested this morning. Drugs. Kids were alone for 3 days." 3 days. I imagined 5-year-old Emma and 7-year-old Jacob alone in an empty house. How they looked for food. How they were afraid to fall asleep. "Did they eat?" I asked. "Found some dry cereal and a jar of peanut butter." Jacob finally got out of the car, took Emma's hand. She was so small next to him, blonde hair tangled, dress stained. "I'll take care of her," Jacob told me. "I always take care of her." There was pride in his voice, and pain, and responsibility that a 7-year-old boy shouldn't carry. Emma didn't speak, just looked at me from behind her brother, big blue eyes the color of winter sky. We went into the house. The other children were already sleeping. It was quiet. Only the old furnace hummed in the hallway. "Are you hungry?" I asked. Jacob nodded. Emma hid deeper behind his back. We went to the kitchen. I made them turkey sandwiches, poured milk. They ate silently. Jacob would take a bite, then give Emma some, then eat himself. I sat nearby, didn't say anything, just sat. "Where will we sleep?" Jacob asked. "We have a nice room with 2 beds. Can they be close?" "Of course." I showed them room number 3, small but cozy. 2 beds by the window, a nightstand between them. Jacob walked around the room, checked the lock on the door, looked out the window, made sure everything was safe. "Good," he said. "This is good." I gave them pajamas, toothbrushes, showed them the bathroom. Emma still hadn't said a word, just held her brother's hand. When they undressed, I saw the bruises on Jacob's arms, on Emma's back, old bruises that were already yellowing. I said nothing. Not the time. Not that night. Good night, children. Won't someone say, Mr. Harris? Jacob called out. Yes. And in his voice was so much fear, so much pain. No, Jacob, I won't separate you. He smiled for the first time, a small, shy smile. Thank you. I left the room, but couldn't go far. Something kept me near the door. Probably instinct, experience. Half an hour later, I returned, quietly opened the door. They were sleeping in one bed. Jacob was holding Emma. She was nestled against him. Their hands were tightly intertwined. And I understood. This wasn't just brother and sister. These were two hearts beating as one. Two lives that had become one. I stood in the doorway and watched them. The moon shone through the window, lit their faces, peaceful in sleep. And I thought, God, help me keep them together. Back then, I didn't know. Didn't know that in a year I would have to break that promise. That there would be a moment when I would face the hardest choice of my life. Back then, I just watched two children who had found safety in each other and prayed that I would never have to separate them. But life rarely listens to our prayers. The next morning, I woke up early, as always, at 6:30. Went to the kitchen to make coffee. Jacob was already sitting there, on a chair by the window, looking at the yard. Good morning, I said, smiling shyly. Good morning, Mr. Harris. Where's Emma? Still sleeping? No, she woke up, but she's afraid to come out. I poured myself coffee, sat next to him. And you're not afraid? Jacob thought about it, seriously like an adult. I'm scared, but I'm older. I have to be brave. A 7-year-old boy talking like a 30-year-old man. You know what, Jacob? Sometimes it's okay to be scared. It's normal. He looked at me, surprised. Really? Really? I get scared sometimes too. Of what? Good question. What does a group home director fear? I'm afraid I won't be able to take good care of you. Of all the children. Jacob nodded, as if he understood. Can I bring Emma breakfast to our room? Sure, but maybe we can try to convince her to come here? In a minute, the other children started waking up. Tommy, 12 years old, Sarah, 10, little Rose, 6 years old. They came into the kitchen, saw Jacob, stopped. Hi, Tommy said. Are you new? Jacob nodded. I'm Tommy, and you? Jacob, and my sister Emma. She's in the room. How old is she? Sarah asked. 5. Rose ran closer. She was almost the same age as Emma. Can I meet her? Jacob tensed up, like a little sheepdog. She's shy, doesn't like strangers. I was shy too, Rose said, when I came here. Jacob looked at her carefully. And now? Now it's good. Mr. Harris is kind, and everyone here is kind. I looked at Rose. She came to us a year ago. Was also afraid of everything. And now she's talking to the new boy, trying to help. Jacob, I said, maybe we should go to Emma, together? He nodded. We went to room number 3 and knocked. Emma? It's me, Jacob. Silence. Emma, Mr. Harris is here, and another girl. Her name is Rose. The door opened a crack. One blue eye appeared. Hi, Emma, Rose said. I'm Rose. I'm 6 years old. How old are you? Emma didn't answer, but the door opened a little wider. I have dolls in my room. Want to see? Emma looked at Jacob. He nodded.
Okay, but only if Jacob comes with us.
First words. A quiet, frightened voice, but words. Of course, Rose said. Jacob can come. We went to Rose's room. A small room full of toys. Rose showed Emma her dolls. Emma looked at them with big eyes. "This is my favorite," Rose said, picking up an old doll with curly hair. "Her name is Annie." Emma reached out her hand, touched the doll. "She's pretty," she whispered. Jacob stood in the doorway, watching, ready to protect his sister if something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. Rose was patient, gave her time. She let Emma hold the doll. "Want to have breakfast?" Rose asked. Emma looked at Jacob. He nodded. "Okay." We went to the kitchen. All the children were already there. I made Emma toast with jam, poured milk. She sat next to Jacob. Rose sat on the other side. "Mr. Harris makes the best toast," Rose said. Emma took a bite, smiled barely noticeably. "Tasty," she whispered. Do you feel a touch in us, maybe around us? It touches us personally, and sometimes even warm us. Help us to keep it going. Voice users, you are morally infinite. Thank you. Jacob relaxed. For the first time since their arrival, his shoulders dropped. After breakfast, the children went to watch cartoons. Emma sat on the couch next to Rose. Jacob sat next to Emma. I stood in the doorway and watched. Little Emma was laughing at the cartoon, quiet, tinkling laughter. And I thought, maybe everything will be okay. Maybe they can be happy here. But happiness is a fragile thing, especially for children who have lost so much. The first week passed peacefully. Emma gradually got used to it, spoke more, played with Rose. Jacob went to school. He was a smart boy, but the teacher called me. "He can't concentrate," she said. "He keeps looking at the clock, asking when class will end." I knew why. He worried about Emma, even when she wasn't around. In the evening, I talked to him. "Jacob, Emma is safe here. You don't have to worry." "But what if something happens?" "Nothing will happen, I promise." He looked at me with his serious eyes. "You can't promise that. Nobody can." And he was right. Nobody can promise that nothing bad will happen. But I tried. I really tried to keep their world safe. A month passed, then a second. Emma started laughing more often. Jacob was able to relax at school. They found their rhythm, their place in our little home. And I started to forget that they were here temporarily, that sooner or later someone would come for them. To forget that in this job you can't get too attached. But some children steal a piece of your heart. And you can't do anything about it. The next morning, I woke up early, as always, at 6:30. Went to the kitchen to make coffee. Jacob was already sitting there, on a chair by the window, looking at the yard. "Good morning," I said, smiling shyly. "Good morning, Mr. Harris. Where's Emma?" "Still sleeping?" "No, she woke up, but she's afraid to come out." I poured myself coffee, sat next to him. "And you're not afraid?" Jacob thought about it, seriously, like an adult. I'm scared, but I'm older. I have to be brave. A 7-year-old boy talking like a 30-year-old man. You know what, Jacob? Sometimes it's okay to be scared. It's normal. He looked at me, surprised. Really? Really? I get scared sometimes too. Of what? Good question. What does a group home directive fear? I'm afraid I won't be able to take good care of you. Of all the children. Jacob nodded, as if he understood. Can I bring Emma breakfast to our room? Sure, but maybe we can try to convince her to come here? In a minute, the other children started waking up. Tommy, 12 years old, Sarah, 10, little Rose, 6 years old. They came into the kitchen, saw Jacob, stopped.
Hi,
Tommy said.
are you new?
Jacob nodded. I'm Tommy, and you?
Jacob, and my sister Emma. She's in the room. How old is she? Sarah asked. 5.
Rose ran closer. She was almost the same age as Emma.
Can I meet her?
Jacob tensed up, like a little sheepdog.
She's shy, doesn't like strangers. I was shy too,
Rose said.
when I came here.
Jacob looked at her carefully.
And now? Now it's good. Mr. Harris is kind, and everyone here is kind.
I looked at Rose. She came to us a year ago. Was also afraid of everything. And now she's talking to the new boy, trying to help. Jacob, I said, maybe we should go to Emma? Together? He nodded. We went to room number 3 and knocked.
Emma? It's me, Jacob. Silence. Emma, Mr. Harris is here. And another girl. Her name is Rose.
The door opened a crack. One blue eye appeared.
Hi, Emma,
Rose said.
I'm Rose. I'm 6 years old. How old are you?
Emma didn't answer, but the door opened a little wider.
I have dolls in my room. Want to see?
Emma looked at Jacob. He nodded.
Okay, but only if Jacob comes with us.
First words. A quiet, frightened voice, but words. Of course, Rose said.
Jacob can come.
We went to Rose's room, a small room full of toys. Rose showed Emma her dolls. Emma looked at them with big eyes. This is my favorite, Rose said, picking up an old doll with curly hair. Her name is Annie. Emma reached out her hand, touched the doll. She's pretty, she whispered. Jacob stood in the doorway, watching, ready to protect his sister if something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. Rose was patient, kind. She let Emma hold the doll. Want to have breakfast? Rose asked. Emma looked at Jacob. He nodded. Okay. We went to the kitchen. All the children were already there. I made Emma toast with jam, poured milk. She sat next to Jacob. Rose sat on the other side. Mr. Harris makes the best toast, Rose said. Emma took a bite, smiled barely noticeably. Tasty, she whispered. Jacob relaxed. For the first time since arrival, his shoulders dropped. After breakfast, the children went to watch cartoons. Emma sat on the couch next to Rose. Jacob sat next to Emma. I stood in the doorway and watched. Little Emma was laughing at the cartoon, quiet, tinkling laughter. And I thought, maybe everything will be okay. Maybe they can be happy here. But happiness is a fragile thing, especially for children who have lost so much. The first week passed peacefully. Emma gradually got used to it, spoke more, played with Rose. Jacob went to school. He was a smart boy, but the teacher called me. He can't concentrate, she said. He keeps looking at the clock, asking when class will end. I knew why. He worried about Emma, even when she wasn't around. In the evening, I talked to him. Jacob, Emma is safe here. You don't have to worry. But what if something happens? Nothing will happen, I promise. He looked at me with his serious eyes. You can't promise that. Nobody can. And he was right. Nobody can promise that nothing bad will happen. But I tried. I really tried to keep their world safe. A month passed, then a second. Emma started laughing more often. Jacob was able to relax at school. They found their rhythm, their place in our little home. And I started to forget. To forget that they were here temporarily. That sooner or later, someone would come for them. To forget that in this job, you can't get too attached. But some children steal a piece of your heart, and you can't do anything about it. The call came on a Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. I'll remember exactly because I was just finishing my second cup of coffee. Mr. Harris, this is Miss Johnson from Social Services. I knew Miss Johnson. She'd worked with us for 5 years. A good woman. But there was something in her voice. Something that made me tense up. Good morning, Miss Johnson. We have a family. They want to adopt a girl 5 or 6 years old. My heart skipped a beat. I knew what she was talking about. Emma? Yes, the Williams family. Wonderful people. He's a doctor, she's a teacher. Own house, stable income. They've been waiting a long time. I sat down in my chair, felt my knees go weak. What about Jacob? A pause. A long, painful pause. They only want a girl. They already have a teenage son. They think Jacob would be too what? Too old. Too complicated for adaptation. I closed my eyes. Imagine Jacob. How he checks every morning if Emma slept well. How he holds her hand when they go for walks. Miss Johnson, they're inseparable. You've seen. I understand, Mr. Harris, but we can't refuse a wonderful family because of sibling bonds. Emma deserves a permanent home. And Jacob doesn't? Jacob will find a family too, sooner or later. Sooner or later. Those words echoed painfully in my heart. When do they want to meet? Tomorrow, at 2 in the afternoon. Tomorrow. 29 hours to prepare Emma, to prepare Jacob, to prepare myself. All right, we'll be ready. I hung up the phone, sat in silence. Outside, the sun was shining. Children were playing in the yard. An ordinary day. But everything had changed. I went to the living room. Emma was sitting on the floor with Rose, putting together puzzles. Jacob was reading a book on the couch. Jacob, can you come to me? He got up, came over. There was a question in his eyes. What happened? Smart boy. He felt something was wrong. I need to talk to you, privately. We went to my office. I closed the door. Jacob sat on the edge of the chair. Jacob, tomorrow a family is coming to us. They want to meet Emma. He froze, as if time had stopped. They want to adopt her? Yes. And me? The hardest question of my life. How do you tell a 7-year-old boy that they don't want him? They're only looking for a girl. Jacob was silent, looking out the window. I could see his mind working, how he was trying to understand. But we're together, he said finally. We're always together. I know. I can't be without her, and she can't be without me. His voice was trembling, but he wasn't crying. A 7-year-old boy who wouldn't let himself cry. Jacob, no! He stood up. No, I won't let them. She's my sister. I promised little mama that I would protect her. Little mama. That's what he called their mother. I understand, but Mr. Harris, please. Pleading appeared in his voice. Tell them we only come together, that they can't separate us. I looked at him, at this little boy with the eyes of an adult, who carried responsibility for his sister. I'll try, Jacob. I promise I'll try. He nodded, wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Does Emma know? Not yet. I'll tell her tonight. Can I be there? Of course. We returned to the living room. Emma was still putting together puzzles. When she saw us, she smiled. Jacob, look! I almost finished. He sat next to her, took her little hand in his. Good job, Emma. You're a smart girl. She nestled against him, and I was pierced by the realization of what I was doing. That evening, when the other children were already asleep, we sat in room number 3. Me, Jacob, and Emma. Emma, tomorrow guests are coming to us. A man and a woman. They want to meet you. She looked at me with big eyes. Why? They're looking for a daughter. They want a girl to live with them. Emma didn't understand right away, but then, what about Jacob? Jacob will stay here, for now. No, she shook her head. I won't go without Jacob. Jacob hugged her. Emma, listen to me. This might be your chance. A chance to have a real family. You are my real family. I know, but... No, I won't go. I'll never go without you. She cried, quietly, without sound. Tears just flowed down her cheeks. Jacob pulled her to him, looked at me over her head. In his eyes was pain, but also something else. Determination. Mr. Harris, what if I talk to them? If I show them I'm a good boy? My heart was breaking. How could he think the problem was with him? Jacob, you're a wonderful boy. Any family would be happy to have you. Then why don't they want me? A question with no answer. At least, not one a 7-year-old boy would understand. Sometimes, adults make strange decisions. We sat in silence. 3 people who knew that tomorrow could change everything. Mr. Harris? Emma spoke up. Yes? What if I tell them I don't want to live with them? Then they'll leave. Good. That's what I'll say. Jacob looked at her. Love and reason fought in his eyes. Emma, what if they're kind? What if they can make you happy? I'm happy here, with you. But what if... No, Jacob. Together or not at all. I watched them. 2 children who loved each other more than their own happiness. And I knew that tomorrow I would have to make a choice between what was right for Emma and what would break Jacob's heart. Or maybe break both their hearts. They came exactly at 2 o'clock. I watched from the window as they got out of the car. Dr. Williams, a tall man with glasses. Well-dressed, but not arrogantly. Mrs. Williams, A woman about 35 with warm brown eyes. They looked ordinary, like parents from a playground, like people who really wanted a daughter. And that made everything even harder. I opened the door on the first ring. Dr. Williams, Mrs. Williams, I'm Mr. Harris. Very nice to meet you, said Dr. Williams. A firm handshake, sincere look. We're so excited, added his wife. We've been waiting so long for this moment. I led them to the living room. Emma was sitting on the couch next to Jacob. She was clinging to his hand, looking at the floor. Jacob straightened up, folded his hands on his knees like a little soldier. Emma, Jacob, meet Dr. and Mrs. Williams. Jacob stood up, extended his hand.
Very nice to meet you. I'm Jacob, and this is my sister Emma.
Dr. Williams shook his hand, smiled. Hi, Jacob. You're a very polite boy.
Thank you, sir. I try.
Mrs. Williams knelt down in front of Emma. Hi, Emma. What a beautiful name.
My name is Sarah.
Emma didn't look up. Jacob gently nudged her with his elbow. Emma, say hello.
Hello, she whispered.
You have such pretty braids, Sarah said. Who did your hair?
Jacob,
Emma answered barely audibly. Dr. Williams looked at the boy with surprise. You know how to make braids? Jacob blushed. I learned.
Emma likes braids, and little mama, our mom didn't always have time.
There was no resentment in his voice, just explanation.
That's very sweet, Sarah said.
You're a good big brother.
I try. Emma is very smart and obedient. She almost never cries.
He was advertising her. My little boy was advertising his sister like a salesman. My heart clenched. Emma, Sarah said gently, what do you like to do? Emma looked at Jacob. He nodded.
Draw and play with dolls.
I like to draw too. I have lots of paints and pencils at home. For the first time, Emma looked up, looked at Sarah. Really? Really? And we have a room just for drawing. I saw interest appear in Emma's eyes, a little spark. Can Jacob draw with me? A pause, short but painful. Emma, Dr. Williams said carefully, how do you feel about our idea? About coming to live with us? Only if Jacob comes too. Sarah and her husband exchanged glances. Emma, the thing is, we already have a son. He's 15. We were thinking about one girl. But Jacob is my brother. No. Emma hid behind Jacob again. I won't go without him. Jacob took a deep breath. Mrs. Sarah, Dr. Williams, can I say something? They nodded. I understand you only want Emma. I know I'm older, that I'm more difficult. His voice trembled, but he continued. But Emma can't be without me. She's very attached. When I go to school, she waits by the window all day. That was true. I had seen it. Jacob, Sarah said gently, you're very mature for your age. Yes, I have to be. Someone has to take care of Emma. The question hung in the air. Jacob thought about it. I'm big. I don't need special care. Oh God, a 7-year-old boy who thinks he doesn't need care. Jacob, said Dr. Williams, all children need care. You too. I know. Mr. Harris takes good care of me. But Emma, she's special. She needs more. He stood up, went to the shelf, took a drawing. This is what Emma drew. See? It's me and her. We're holding hands. The drawing showed two stick figures with big heads. Between them was a long line, hands that wouldn't let go. "She always draws us together," Jacob said, "never separately." Sarah took the drawing. Her eyes were getting moist. "This is very beautiful. Mrs. Sarah, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Try taking her on a day visit, without me. See what happens." I couldn't believe my own ears. Jacob was suggesting an experiment that could prove they were inseparable, or that Emma could live without him. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked. "Yes. I want her to be happy, even if—" He didn't finish the sentence, but we all understood. "All right," said Dr. Williams. "We'll try tomorrow, for a few hours." Emma's head shot up. "No, I won't go." "Emma," Jacob said gently, "just try, for me." "No, Jacob, never without you." Sarah sat down next to her. "Emma, what if we just go for ice cream, for 1 hour?" "What about Jacob?" "Jacob will stay here, but we'll come back quickly." Emma looked at Jacob. There was fear in her eyes, real, primal fear. "Do you promise you'll come back?" "I promise." "What if you don't?" "Then Jacob will come for you, right, Mr. Harris?" I nodded. "Right, Emma. Jacob will always come for you." She was silent for a long time, then nodded. "Okay, but just for ice cream, and just for 1 hour." Sarah smiled. Just for ice cream. They left. I stood by the window and watched Emma get into their car. How she looked back at the house. How Jacob waved to her from the window. "Will she come back?" he asked. "Yes, in an hour." "What if she likes it with them?" "I don't know, Jacob." He sat on the couch, took a pillow, hugged it like he used to hug Emma. "Mr. Harris?" "Yes?" "I want her to be happy, even if it hurts me." A 7-year-old boy who was sacrificing his happiness for his sister. I sat next to him, didn't say anything, just sat. Outside it started to rain, like that night when they came to us. And I prayed that Emma would come back, that she would scream and cry and refuse to go without Jacob. Prayed that I wouldn't have to separate them. But an hour later, the car returned. Emma got out with a smile on her face, and I understood. She had liked it. Everything got complicated. The next 2 weeks were hell. The Williams family came every other day. They took Emma on walks, to the zoo, to the park, to the movies. Each time she came back a little different, a little more distant from Jacob. "They bought me a doll," she said after the 3rd visit. She showed a beautiful doll with long hair. Jacob smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Pretty. And they have a room just for me, with pink walls." "That's good, Emma." She sat next to him, snuggled close. "But I don't want to go without you." "I know." But something was changing. I could see it. Emma was starting to imagine life without Jacob, and he saw it too. On the 5th day, she didn't come back on time. They were supposed to be back at 6. They arrived at 8. Jacob sat by the window, didn't move, just watched the road. "Where is she?" he asked every 5 minutes. "She'll be here soon." "What if she won't?" "She will, Jacob." When they finally arrived, Emma ran out of the car. "Jacob, Jacob, they have a pool." She was excited, happy.
She told about the house, about the room, about a dog named Max. Jacob listened, nodded, smiled, and then went to the bathroom and cried quietly. He thought I couldn't hear, but I could. On the 7th day, Miss Johnson called me. The family is ready to file adoption papers. What about Jacob? Mr. Harris, we can't force a family to take 2 children. But we can find another family, one that will take both. In a year, we only found the Williams family. Emma might lose her chance. Chance. The word that haunted me. Give me a week to prepare them. Of course, but the decision is already made. I hung up the phone, sat in silence, then went to find Jacob. He was in his room, reading Emma a fairy tale. She had fallen asleep with her head on his shoulder. Jacob, can we talk? He carefully moved Emma to the pillow, came out with me to the hallway. They want to take her. It wasn't a question. He knew. When? Next week. He leaned against the wall, slowly slid down, sat on the floor. I thought we had more time. Me too. Mr. Harris, what about me? The hardest question in the world. You'll stay with me until we find you a family. What if we don't find one? We will. He looked at the floor. I can't tell her. I'll tell her. I'm her big brother. A 7-year-old boy taking on the hardest responsibilities. That night I didn't sleep. I walked the hallways, thought about other options. Maybe refuse the Williams family? Say Emma wasn't ready? But that would be a lie. She was ready. She wanted to go. Maybe find another family in a week? But we'd been looking for a year and found only one. In the morning, I called Dr. Williams. Doctor, I have to ask again. You really can't take Jacob? A pause. Mr. Harris, we talked about this with Michael, our son. He's afraid all the attention will go to the younger children. Jacob doesn't need much attention. But Michael is going through a difficult period. We need to think about him too. Logical, right, responsible, and absolutely cruel to Jacob. I understand. Mr. Harris, maybe Jacob could visit when Emma gets settled? Visit his own sister. Maybe. After the conversation, I went to the kitchen. Jacob was sitting there with Emma, making her a sandwich. No crusts, he said. Just how you like it. Thank you, Jacob, she replied. She bit into the sandwich, and he looked at her as if trying to memorize every detail. Emma, he said quietly. Uh-huh, she responded. I need to tell you something. She looked at him. Something in his voice alerted her. What? Mrs. Sarah and Dr. Williams, they want you to live with them. Always. Emma froze, the sandwich in her hand. What about you? I'll stay here. No, she shook her head. No, I won't go. Emma, listen to me. No, we're together. We're always together. She cried quietly, without sound. Tears just flowed down her cheeks. Jacob hugged her tightly. I won't go without you. Jacob stroked her hair. His own eyes were moist. Emma, they're very kind. They have a nice house and a dog. I don't need a dog. I need you. I know, but think. You'll have your own room and parents who will always be there. But you won't be. No, I won't be. She pulled back, looked at him with big, wet eyes. Why? Why can't you come?
How do you explain to a 5-year-old girl that the world is unfair? Because they only want a little girl, someone like you. Then I'll tell them I don't want to. Emma, I will, and they'll leave. Jacob took her hands in his. What if I want you to go? She looked at him, not understanding. What? What if I want you to have a real family? With a mom and dad? But you are my family. I know, but I can't give you everything. I can't be a dad and mom. His voice was breaking, but he continued. You deserve more. You deserve better. No, he hugged her, cried quietly. Emma, I'll always be your brother, even if we're far apart. I don't want far apart. I don't want it either. But sometimes you have to do what's right, even if it hurts. They sat in the kitchen, hugging, crying, and I stood in the doorway, knowing I was doing the cruelest thing in my life, but also the most right. The Williams family came on Friday to take Emma forever. Jacob helped her pack, folded everything neatly in the suitcase. Don't forget your toothbrush, he said, and the doll. They went downstairs. The family was waiting in the living room. Emma held Jacob's hand tightly, as if trying to grow together with him. Are you ready? Sarah asked gently. Emma looked at Jacob. I'll write you letters, he said. Will you call? If Mr. Harris lets me. I will, I said. Emma nodded, then came to me. Mr. Harris, will you take care of Jacob? I promise. And if he gets sad, tell him I love him? I will. She hugged me, small arms around my neck. The last goodbye, long, silent. I love you, she whispered, forever. She went to the door, turned once, waved. Jacob stood motionless, watched her get in the car. The car drove away, disappeared around the corner. Jacob turned to me. Can I go to my room? Of course. He left. I heard the door close. Then silence. Long, painful silence. I sat in the chair, put my head in my hands, and for the first time in 20 years of work, I cried. The first 3 months were the hardest. Jacob didn't speak, just didn't speak. He went to school, ate, slept, but there were no words. I tried to get him to talk. I would sit next to him at lunch. How were things at school? He chewed, looking at his plate. Jacob, it's okay to talk to me. Nothing. The teacher called every week. He sits alone, doesn't play with other children. During recess, he stands by the fence and watches the road. The road that Emma had left on. I knew he was waiting, that he believed she would come back. The first letter from Emma came after a month. A pink envelope, childish handwriting. Dear Jacob, I'm fine. Max plays with me. Sarah taught me to make cookies. I miss you. Your sister Emma. I gave the letter to Jacob. He read it, silently put it on the table, left the room, and at night I heard him crying. The second letter came 2 weeks later, then a third, about school, about new friends, about their cat. Jacob read every letter but didn't answer. Why don't you write to her? I asked. He looked at me for the first time in weeks. What should I write? That I'm sad?
That I want her to come back? You could write that you love her. She knows. In the 4th month, something changed. Jacob started talking to other children, little by little. Tommy invited him to play football. Jacob agreed. He didn't play well, but he played. Why did you decide to try? I asked. Emma. She wrote in her last letter that she learned to play tennis. She said I should try something new, too. With small steps, he was returning to life. But something in him had changed forever. He became older, more serious, less trusting. After 6 months, the Williams family invited him to visit for the weekend. Do you want to go? I asked. He thought for a long time. Yes, I want to see how she lives. I drove him there on Friday. Sarah met us at the door. Jacob, Emma has been waiting for you so much. Emma ran out of the house, threw herself at him, hugged him as if she would never let go. Jacob, Jacob, you came! He hugged her too, but I could see his face. He saw how much she had changed, how different she had become. I picked him up on Sunday evening. He was quiet all the way home. How did it go? Good. She's happy. A pause. Very happy. That's good. Yes, good. But in his voice, I heard pain. The realization that she was no longer his little sister who needed protection. Now she was Sarah and Dr. Williams' daughter. The next year, Jacob was adopted by a family from a neighboring town. An elderly couple whose children had grown up. Mr. and Mrs. Collins. Kind, patient people. We know this won't be easy, said Mrs. Collins, but we're ready. Jacob left with them in July. He had turned 9. Mr. Harris, he said before leaving, thank you for everything. You're a good boy, Jacob. Remember that. Will you tell Emma? Tell her I'll always be her brother. I will. He left, and again the house became quiet. Years passed. I received letters from both. Not often, but regularly. Emma grew up, learned to paint, took dance lessons, became a teenager. Jacob grew up too. Studied well, dreamed of becoming a doctor. To help children, he wrote. They met once a year, on Emma's birthday. A tradition established by the families. And each time, Jacob called me after the meeting. She looks more and more like them, he said when she turned 12. She talks like Sarah, gestures like Dr. Williams. That's natural. Yes, but sometimes I look at her and don't recognize her. When Emma turned 16, she called me herself. Mr. Harris, this is Emma. Emma Williams. Williams. She had taken their last name. Emma, how nice to hear your voice. I wanted to say thank you for everything you did. There's nothing to thank me for. There is. You gave me the chance to have a family. A pause. And Jacob, how is he? Fine. He's entering university next year. I know. We correspond. Sometimes. Sometimes. No longer every week. Not every month. Mr. Harris, can I ask something? Of course. Do you think we did the right thing back then? The question that had haunted me for years. I think we did the best we could. But if we had waited, Emma, you can't live in the past. You have a wonderful family. Jacob found his way too. Yes, but we lost each other.
Words that tore at the heart. No, you didn't lose each other. You just became different, more grown up. She was silent. Emma, love doesn't disappear. It just changes. 3 years ago, Jacob finished medical school, became a pediatrician. Emma is studying art, planning to become an art therapist. To help children express their feelings, she said in her last letter. They both chose professions related to children, to helping. Maybe their experience at the group home influenced this. Now, I'm retired. I sit on the porch, I remember. Of all the children I saw, Emma and Jacob left the deepest mark. Not because their story was the most tragic, there were worse ones, but because they taught me the most difficult thing, that sometimes loving means letting go, that right decisions aren't always easy, and that the heart can break, and at the same time, know you did right. Last summer, I received an invitation to Emma's wedding. Dear Mr. Harris, you were an important part of my life. Please come. Jacob will be there too. I went. I watched her walk down the aisle, a beautiful, happy girl. Jacob sat in the front row, a tall, serious man. During the reception, they came to me together. Mr. Harris, Emma said, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. Jacob extended his hand. How are things? Good. And you? Good too. I work at a children's hospital. I know. I'm proud of you. He smiled, for the first time in years. Mr. Harris, Emma said, can I ask something? Of course. Do you ever regret it? That decision? I looked at her happy face, at the ring on her finger, then at Jacob, at the kind eyes that still remembered too much. No, I said, I don't regret it. And it was the truth. They went their separate ways at the reception, talked to other guests. But before I left, they came together again. Goodbye, Mr. Harris, Jacob said. Goodbye, children. They hugged me, then each other. Brother and sister who found their way in life, separately, but keeping their love. I drove home thinking about everything that happened, about the decisions I had to make. And I understood the main thing. We can't protect children from pain. We can't keep them together forever. But we can give them love, support, faith that life can be good. Even when it hurts. Even when you have to let go of those you love. Emma and Jacob taught me this, and for that, I'm forever grateful to them. That's the story. Not with a happy ending, but with the right one. Sometimes that's the best you can hope for.